We have the honor at the McAllister's podcast to bring you two brand new shows to our ever-expanding network. First is the Unhinged and Uncensored podcast, where I and good friend rapper Lolo Savage talk about really whatever we want in a completely wild format that drops every Tuesday at 2 p.m. But wait, don't forget to catch our other brand new podcast, the Guts and Gore podcast, where we give horror films the dissection they need to see where they stack up every Thursday at 2 p.m. Please click the links in the description to find out more info today. Trying to find the next spot for a show or event? Look no further. You know them. You love them. Stutterbox Productions is here to help. They always have an excellent team that is always busy and in motion behind the scenes in the Midwest, and they have plenty of shows lined up. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Stutterbox Productions' Facebook page for all of your needs today.
Actually, I think it would be a good time. I don't know. Do we ever talk about how that's not my government name?
No, I've noticed that on Facebook.
Okay.
So should we?
So when you do the title, you can say Mark Thomas Andersen, a.k.a. Marco Battaglia.
Okay, Mark Thomas Andersen. Okay.
If I have to introduce myself, I can.
Yeah, I was
if
gonna
that
say.
makes it easier.
I was gonna say, throw me a curveball right then.
Actually,
I'm just giving you shit. Hell yeah! Should we start, man?
sure.
Let's do it, guys. What's up? This is the McAllister's podcast. I'm your host, always Cole McAllister. You know what's up. We got another episode today with returning guest who has just told me seconds ago that he has a new name. Mark,
That's actually my old name.
Your old name.
It's my government name.
To us, a new name.
It's the oldest name. It's my biblical name.
Mark Thomas Andersen, a.k.a. How most people know Marco Battaglia. How are you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah. We got you in the new studio.
Yeah.
A new phase.
I like this place, and nice place, and actually grew up not far from here.
Shit. You mind turning off that fan? Sorry, what were you saying?
The fan had something to say. I grew up right around here, and went to school here, and so if you have a problem with me, you can blame these institutions around us.
The ones directly around. I should start boycotting.
Literally in this vicinity, you can.
You know what's funny? My old elementary school, because I grew up in like Northwest Iowa, and I went to this. It was called Spalding Catholic. It was like this old crummy Catholic school, and like when I graduated high school, there was a news article where the building that I went to elementary school in became like whatever, like abandoned, like just whatever the term is.
All right. Well, that was a lot better than where I thought this story would be going.
But anyways, so they did a controlled like fire demolition. So there's literally a news article where I can go see video and pictures of the fucking elementary school that I hated growing up,
nice.
Burning in flames.
And
So
like in an ethical and like humane way.
Right, exactly.
That's beautiful.
Nobody's getting hurt. Yeah, it was
School's out forever.
It was almost symbolic, man.
Well, that's like there was Franklin School. You ever heard of that? Like in the Franklin, show not far from here.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Got turned into like I don't know what it's going to be, an entertainment complex. So like
really?
Black Market Fetus headlined a show, or was part of a show there that at this place that I think some people went to Catholic school at. So it's an interesting turn of events. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and Molly, who also grew up in this area, she was saying that it's improved over the years. Like it's just gotten nicer and better, and like we're really lucky getting this spot. And yeah, man,
I feel the same way about where I live on the south side.
Hell yeah. There are parts about the south side that I miss for sure, but
and there's some new businesses popping up that are awesome, and got a nice new little neighborhood joint called Olive Garden.
The McDonald's of Italian food, as they call
Well, no,
it.
I think it's a feud now between Applebee's and Olive Garden as to what's like the hot spot of the South Side. Like, where is it going to pop off? Applebee's or Olive Garden?
You know what's funny?
Where is the next like rebel country artist going to play next at Olive Garden or Applebee's?
Exactly. Me and Molly went to that one that opened on the South Side around the time that it opened, and I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like it got like way more expensive. I walked out there.
Everything, especially food.
Well, everything, but we went to
McDonald's. What the fuck?
Yeah, McDonald's went up. Yeah, but like Simon's up the street. Like we went, like that place was cheaper than what it was at Olive Garden, and like we didn't drink either time. Like we just got like sodas and water or whatever, and like
yeah, it's crazy.
It's nuts, man.
I don't even. Yeah, I would prefer just not to get beverages, and I'll supply my own aqua.
You just have like a flask. You like put a little gin in your water.
Yes. Gin?
That's what I do, motherfuckers.
One time I was at a bar and someone ordered gin, and apparently that's like, it's just like people don't do that as much. Like not straight gin. Mm-hmm. The bartender like turned to Scooby Doo. They were like, gin?
My ex-wife used to drink gin. I used to like drink that shit on a regular.
It's something.
It's something. I couldn't really I only did I guess not on the regular. I
guess it's interesting. I mean, okay, so I do think of alcohol for its medicinal purposes, which do exist as long as you don't overdose on them.
Okay.
Especially like high quality spirits, and like if they have like an herbal concoction versus just just corn ethanol, just knock that off and just chug it down. There's a big difference. Like Jägermeister. Like what that cross is supposed to like represent, like the medicinal history of Jägermeister.
No. What? Give me a summary.
Well, basically, like now I don't know the exact science behind it or what you will, but I mean,
nobody's an expert here.
I think even if it's just something that helps you relax, like or an unwind, like as long as you're not in turn abusing it and overdosing on it. Like there's a medicinal purpose to that. And I think, you could take any drug that's ever been known to man and it could be medicinal to somebody. Like, if they, doesn't mean that it's not more, some are more addictive than others, some are more abused than others. But if you're that person that can imbibe responsibly, then don't fuck with that person,
Yeah. I guess let me play devil's advocate with you a little bit. If the substance, for instance, like I feel like if they have the negative qualities overcome the positives, isn't there
like fentanyl?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Well, what I've encountered some people with some stories that definitely affected me. Like one was an electrician who got severely electrocuted. And like his life is like what most people would probably call like a living hell if he doesn't have fentanyl patches. Yeah, so like those like keep him from just torment for however long, his body's ticking for this go around or whatever.
But like, I'm a believer that I think you could actually have a more positive effect on your body with opiates versus alcohol. Like I think alcohol is undoubtedly just one of those things that like it trashes your liver.
It's like it's probably the most dangerous of all things that humans like use for recreation or whatever else. I agree. So yeah, to me that pretty much like, I don't know, just fucks up anybody's argument as to why anything else should be prohibited.
No, I don't think anything should be prohibited. I guess I'm just wondering if it's necessarily considered medicine. Like that's kind of my question, I guess. Yeah. Like I think you can make the argument for opioids. I think you can even make the argument.
Dr. Carl Hart, I think, is someone that makes a great argument, especially like I think I've heard him argue for at least like heroin and cocaine and
amphetamines.
Amphetamines. Like his argument is if you're a responsible adult, then if you know this is having a positive effect on your life or helping you in any way,
yeah,
then why should you be kept from doing that by someone else?
No, I agree 100%. Yeah. The only question I'm asking is about medicine specifically, and I think that's
it's tough when you add that medicinal label, which is why I've always felt like
it's a
you just have to have recreational legalization across the board.
I agree.
And then people will make their own decision as to what's medicinal.
Yeah, exactly. So before we get, because we're getting into libertarian territory, which I love.
Yeah.
But the thing that because this is the third time we've had you on, we've never actually gotten to like something that, you kind of, maybe people may or may not know about you, which is a lot of music stuff. You're part of how many bands, or what's your?
So music, I guess, has been a major part of my life since basically same time as Memories developed.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
I'm a part of Dark Mirror and a band called Pud, which is started by me and the original Dark Mirror member when we were kids. And it was like Pud evolved out of like, I knew Eric was like this bitchin' guitar player, and he was the real fucking deal. And we could never find a singer that was what we felt was that. We tried out a lot of people. There's a lot of fucking comedy in the tryout process. Basically, so I just got up and said, I will just like become this zany character and scream. And it was kind of like inspired by like Slayer, but then like the name was inspired by Alice Cooper. So Pud Galvin is like this old-timey baseball player. I think he was one of the first people accused of like juicing. Like he like took some substance, I think, from monkey testicles. Like I don't know if he just drank it or if he gargled it, what if he shot it up, I don't know. I never like got the legit story, but anyways, so one of the first pitchers in Major League Baseball, I think, that started taking some kind of performance enhancing substance that I think came from the testicles of a monkey. And so basically I was like, like Alice Cooper, I think, is some old witch or something. I was Pud Galvin, the first juicer. We just like did funny shit. But actually it blew my mind a little bit how we were ahead of this like curve of like, so one of the first songs we ever wrote was about like the phenomenon of school shootings and living in the aftermath of Columbine. And like, being kids that like loved heavy metal, probably either, I think The Matrix had just coming out. So like loved The Matrix, and we're like hearing people be like, oh, these people got pushed over the edge because of being like you, basically, like liking the things you like. And we were like, what the actual fuck? So we used, I think it was called, Red Faction. You ever heard of that? It's like a PlayStation or PC game, maybe PlayStation 2. And it's like a first-person shooter. And, we took sound effects of different weapons and like screaming and shit and used that for like the start of the song or maybe the end of the song.
Okay.
And it was about basically like this idea that you're just picked on so much and like you just finally start thinking it's a good idea to like go and just take it out on random people, like take a gun to school and kill your friends. like I don't know, at the time it was so hard for us to like wrap our head around that is something that doesn't have like more to it than just that. Like it's just not an evil person or a person that's made to do this evil thing. Like there's got to be more at play than that, basically. And I think it would have really, it still would, but get like really misinterpreted from our intention as like artists. Like we weren't like trying to glorify violence. We were trying to understand the phenomenon and like understand humanity, I guess.
Yeah. And
also, just kind of like, it seemed like Ozzy Osbourne got blamed for a lot of shit. Judas Priest,
Suicide Train. I just learned the lead singer. Sorry, not to interject, but the lead singer of Judas Priest was gay. I hadn't realized that until today.
Yeah, and I think he came out maybe in the late 90s.
Yeah, that's what I read today.
And
98.
it's like, for the most part, I don't think it hurt his standing, in the metal community. I'm sure like any other community, there are problematic people and bigots and whatever, but I don't think it was like a significant enough number to like hurt his bottom line or something like that. But I don't think he cared. I think he just finally felt like being honest with his fans about who he is.
Sure.
And
it's amazing.
I guess that had a huge impact on me, like growing up here and just not, knowing someone that I idolized, that, identified and was honest about it. And I remember when I was a little kid, actually, me and my brother were watching like a Queen live, and like there's this part where it's like he's getting on in the night, and he's feeling it. He's in like some short shorts and like a Betty Boop shirt or something, and and then he takes off the shirt. He's just got some, I don't know, boxer briefs or short shorts, and he's just having his best time, his best life. And my uncle comes down and he's like, "What the fuck are you guys watching?" I'm like, it's just music, man. I didn't even think of it, and like I didn't think of it as weird until you made it weird.
Right.
Yeah. So like be as flamboyant as you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think that helps people actually, as long as you're not, you're not hurting people and not fucking with people, like then
don't be the one to make it weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
That should be like a guideline. Like if you're making it weird, you should.
You obviously have a problem with it because he didn't have a problem with it when he was doing it. All these people in the audience didn't have a problem with it. I was here spectating as a young person, just loving the music. And so yeah, I think, I don't know, what would it be, sexualization of just living, and like I think it is a thing. But it's not like just a LGBTQ plus thing. It's like if you're sexualizing something that shouldn't be sexualized, like we agree to that as a society, like minors or something.
Sure, yeah.
Then we agree that's a problem. But I don't know. But yeah.
Fuck. Goddamn dog. I'm not with it today. Sorry. But yeah, man, it's crazy how like people just get so like the people that are so against that, like like I said, like making it weird, like being the one to interject and be in the room and be like, oh hey, I have a problem with what's going on right now, like what you guys are talking about, or what, like it's like, no, you are the one
problem that it goes on somewhere in my city that I never have to go to.
You are the odd
and that
one.
I would never like have to take my kids to or whatever.
Exactly.
Like so you have a problem that is happening somewhere, and whatever you think is happening in your head, if you're that worked up about it, it's probably worse than whatever's actually happening. So it's just, yeah, it's wild times.
Yeah, even having your brain there, being like taking time out of your day to just sit there and be like, somebody is taking a dick in their ass,
and I have a problem with it. It's not me.
They're shaking their drink. They're like,
and then there are those people that are just jealous or projecting.
Yeah,
they wish that was there. That was going into them.
Right.
And those exist. Like, that's a thing, too. So, it, like, to me, you got to, whatever that anti-faction is, you got to chunk it off even smaller. Because some of it are those types of, like, they just can't, they are so fucked up in their head that they can't accept it. And they're putting it on other people.
Yeah. It's like that movie American Beauty. Did you ever see that? Like, where the guy's like the drill sergeant, but he's, like, secretly gay. And then you're like, oh, fuck.
That's a good example of a lot of things, and life imitating art and everything.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. Yeah, it didn't age well with all the Kevin Spacey stuff. I will say
it's tough, right?
It's
because
sad.
Like even more recently, that the whole Flash thing. It's like, I had no expectations for it, and then I saw it, and I really liked it, and then everyone's like, "Oh, but this lead is a piece of shit." And I'm like, maybe it sounds like he is, but I don't know, can it still be a good movie and whatever?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think it can. I always say separate art from the artist, right?
To a certain degree. And then if you can't, then that's what you're right. Like, you can burn their album or like not buy their shit, and that's fine too.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. Okay, we'll be right back. I really gotta put this dog away. He's gonna distract me the whole show. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. Animals rule the world, as they say. So
They should.
So yeah. So like, where are you at in your music career right now? Like, are you spending a lot of time with it? Like, how are you balancing that? Like,
so yeah.
Go into it.
Unfortunately, I knew it was gonna have to get put on the back burner for to take some political pursuits seriously.
Sure.
And that actually, I had a lot of torment, I think, over that. Am I going to be able to help out in some capacity that it's worth it for having to put my passion sort of on the back burner? And I think I'm happy with what has happened, and I think that it did, but I mean, like, just from a sense of me sitting down with the bass guitar, like that thing that you can always have no matter who you are.
Yeah.
If you like a specific instrument and you like playing it, no one can really take that away from you. And I think that's where that's where I started and where I'm still at. So, like, we had one album that came out with that PUD, under that PUD label, and then we had the first Dark Mirror record, Visions of Pain, and then the second Dark Mirror record, second Dark Mirror record was Portrait of Evil, and then the third Dark Mirror record was Patterns of Chaos, and now this will be the fourth one that I just wrote, and that Eric Wicker wrote a lot of as well. No Right to Rule is the title, and like I felt comfortable announcing it because it was written, and I know there's enough people involved from Dark Mirror's history that, like, even if one of us fell out for whatever reason, like, it's gonna get done. Mm-hmm. So that was why I felt comfortable dropping it. And and even that whole thing, like Mark Thomas Andersen is my name on my birth certificate, but Marco Tomoso Battaglia, like, if we weren't in a patriarchy and we were in a matriarchy, like, that would be my name historically on my mother's side. So it was never like a big, I don't know.
I see.
It was just like, that's what they called me, Marco. And if you go back far enough in history, Battaglia is the historical name on my mother's side. So it's like, I don't know, it was more of like a stab at the whole order of things.
Sure.
That, and I knew if I used that name, it would, my family wouldn't kind of have to deal with that whole political side quest.
Sure.
So, like, they can't go and find Mrs. Battaglia or Mr. and Mrs. grandfather and parents, because they don't exist technically. So
sure.
So fuck off if you spent time trying to get them involved, Like, I think it's fucked up when politicians, like, bring out their, like, who's not going to cheer for a little cute kid and then they're wearing the shirt that says, like, asshole for president, and that's going to get a pop, But fuck that. That's not how, like, I love Jesse Ventura, and he didn't do that. When he announced he was running for governor of Minnesota, he was on the steps, just him and the press. Wasn't a big hoopla. His family wasn't there, and they're like, why is your family not here? He's like, I don't want to get them involved. Like, this is me. I'm running, and I don't, you don't really need to care what my kid thinks or my wife thinks or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So with your, like, is that name change, is that just due to, like, moving to America and them forcing your family to change it?
So yeah, I guess it's so weird how that works, right? Because so there's, like, make it a little more easier for, your white bread people to say, And then also, but then you meet Italian people today, that's their real name, and they'll say Battaglia. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I don't know. It's weird how that happens, right? Or like there's people that grew up in Iowa. I have a best friend who was adopted from India, but grew up raised here in Iowa by Iowans. Sounds like an Iowan. Sounds more like an Iowan than I do. But he looks very Indian, so it's just one of those wild circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. Long story short, I guess a lot of people change their name to sound more like fit in a little better. And then also, you know, a lot of actors that kind of could have chose like, this is my name. They would take the more Hollywood sounding which actually was more like whatever Christian sounding or whatever you want to say, white sounding.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just kind of did the opposite. Mark Andersen, you know, there's a lot of people called that. I took Marco Battaglia. There's like one person I think living that's like notable as a ex NFL player, Marco Battaglia, and that's it. So instead of having to look up, you know, scour through hundreds of thousands of Mark Andersons, if you're looking for Marco Battaglia, you got one of two guys, and I never played in the NFL, so it's pretty easy there to get down to it.
Yeah, my uncle who is Cambodian, when he moved to the U.S., his last name is OU, so he was forced to like hyphenate his wife, who my aunt is McAllister. So they had to merge that. Like, he was legally forced to do that. I mean, that was in the 90s.
That's so a weird thing. But, I mean, marriage still causes a lot of weird situations. And, like, birth certificates and who can be the father on a birth certificate, or who can be, you know, obviously the mothers, they saw them have the child. So that's a little different story in most cases. But.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, man. Yeah, I myself am a quarter Italian, Lamson. From the southern end of the boot.
Yeah, my mom was born in Italy and came through Ellis Island with her family when she was a toddler.
Nice.
And, you know, really for our, like, what they saw as our protections of the constitutions and the Bill of Rights. So, like, I guess that was, like, instilled in me early on, like this is something that people come here to seek. So maybe it's a little bit important that we don't just give it away.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of thing. And, you know, don't just like idly sit by and let it get eroded to the point where it doesn't mean anything, which it feels like it's getting way too close to that. But
yeah. So let me ask you, I don't know if I've ever actually asked you this. Like, maybe I have. Well, what got you into politics? Like, what was, I mean, because you just talked about that, like, you know, having your upbringing, having that affected. Like, what kind of got the gears going for you to actually take initiative politically?
I think growing up here, because I was a kid and I saw, like, Wesley Clark and Dennis Kucinich running for president, and it was just something to do. You know, go and knock on, you live in Des Moines, Iowa, so you go and knock on doors for a candidate that you like, sort of thing. I think it was pretty common at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then you actually see all these people, and at least until this current cycle, like, because this is like the first caucus in the nation, so like you're just bound to get a chance to interact with these people. And a lot of places, you know, they never get a chance to interact with these people that, you know, one of them is probably going to be the president. Like, we haven't had an election yet where it was like none of the above, which would be cool in my book.
Oh, would be.
We haven't had that yet.
Yeah.
It's always been one of these people that comes to Iowa and bothers us, you know.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it Ted Cruz wasn't it in Iowa that he did the fucking shit with, where, like, I think it was Rubio? He put out some kind of, like, put out a bunch of flyers basically and was like trying to say that he dropped out or whatever. Very
likely. All kinds of shenanigans like that.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, so it was that coupled with what sucked me back in was there's this guy, I think we did talk about maybe this guy named Benton McKenzie. And he was treating his tumors with cannabis oil. And then, you know, he got arrested here in Iowa, and they basically tried to throw the book at him, get his family involved, and he wasn't allowed in a court to say, I'm using this to basically improve the quality of my life, maybe lengthen my life. And I just thought that was completely fucked up. And that's what got me back, to this point where there was some heavy involvement and heavy amount of time and resources dedicated to that involvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one, and still is for me.
Oh yeah, no, it's huge. Let me ask you: do you ever see legalization happening anytime soon in Iowa, or do you think it's going to be a hot minute yet?
The optimism that I have about that is we can see how not to do legalization, with high tax burden and like difficult burden to start your own business.
Yes.
We can see how not to do that. Are we going to learn from it? I have no fucking clue, but I hope so.
Well, I mean, and
I'm cautiously optimistic that we can learn from these other legalization fuck ups.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we talked about this last time. The thing that I would say is probably kind of deters me is like how the legal cannabis industry has been handled.
Oh yeah.
Just like how it's been exclusive.
It just becomes like anything.
Yep.
Like just as bad as whatever you think the worst one is. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Whatever claw they can get, they'll use it for sure.
Yeah. Whether it's the business of oil, vaccines, batteries, cannabis, they just want to capture them markets.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucked up, man. So yeah, I think we were talking about this a little bit before the show, but like I guess getting into like the more the political stuff, like what are your kind of outlooks for that going forward in 2023, 2024?
I think no matter what avenue you choose, you got some hot messes to contend with, whether that's working towards a multi-party system, whether that's working towards fixing our systems, whether that's working towards abolishing our systems.
I was going to say burn it down.
Like any path you take, like you just got to be ready to like be yourself, give your all, speak your voice. Like I've never thought there was like a right way. Like there's not a right, to me, there's not like one right belief or ism or ideology that everybody must follow. Like to me, it's the exact opposite of that. We need everybody to stand up and talk about their experiences and their beliefs, and we'll find out very quickly that I don't think like, oh, go Democrats or go Republicans like is ever going to get anywhere, and then we go what's next,
Yeah. I do one of the things that are you familiar with Michael Malice?
I'm familiar with the name, but I'm not not super familiar like with anything else really.
Okay, well he's a big like anarchist, libertarian author, and I've read a couple of his books. Very, very good. Fuck, I forget. God damn it! What the fuck was I talking?
Well, one thing that's interesting to me is you can take two libertarians or two anarchists and put them in the room together, and they might be very different, and their paths are very different, and what they've read and learned is very different, and their experiences are very different. So, of course, if that applies to anarchists, if it applies to libertarians, of course it applies to anybody else. Like these are your quote unquote rugged individualists, and they can't even agree on what that means. So I don't know. To me, it's just, I wish we didn't have to use like labels from the past, and we could just be like, I'm here with you right now. We disagree on something, but we're going to talk about it and we're going to figure it out. Like, I wish it could always be like that wherever you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the point that I was trying to make, I think one of the things that like causes me to be kind of to get back to the point, Michael Malice, he's a very optimistic anarchist. He wrote a book called The White Pill that talks about like kind of the rise and the fall of the Soviet Union and how that is a positive thing. And you know how he uses that as an optimistic metric for how everything, it's a cycle, like eventually everything will kind of collapse and we'll have like a freer, you know, non-authoritarian society. You know, people can have rights and kind of prosper.
I don't know his specific wording and logic, but I can say that I come from a similar place of like thinking that more and more humans are coming to some realization that other humans and even animals, to some you know, enough people deserve some basic like dignity and rights that we're going to respect. And I think that's getting to a critical mass of humanity. Like, is it in any one specific country or state or city? Maybe not, but if you look at all humans that are currently living and breathing, that's at a critical mass of like, regardless of government, we want to treat other humans and animals with respect, and you know, hopefully the environment to some degree. It's like I just think humans are getting there. Like, maybe I'm not as negative as like, you know, we should destroy everything and we're just invasive and we're just gonna fuck everything up forever and there's no point in trying anything. So I don't know. I don't go down that path.
I guess I wonder, because like I think like the Democratic Party is a perfect example, right? Like why, like a big part of the reason I think why we haven't seen a red wave these last two cycles, which wherever I thought was going to happen, because like, you know, the Democrats are fucking up, is because like I think generationally, culturally, like we just live in this place where people are complacent and they're just gonna go blue because that's what everybody else is doing. And
red for that matter.
Or red, exactly.
And Iowa is that rural city divide, which is a motherfucker to try to address. And just be like, hey, on this side we're humans too. And if we don't at least try to talk to each other, it ain't gonna get better. And then, you know, I know people that still identify as Democrats, people that still identify as Republicans, and I know them so well. I know they're good people, and I know they're trying really hard to not be that shitty politician stereotype. So like, what the fuck? Like, it's like, I don't know. There's just way too much, I don't know, meanness and people that just want to argue before you even actually start talking to somebody.
It seems like a brick wall at times, I guess. Like it's kind of funny. I've found myself kind of distancing myself from politics in the last few months, because
and I don't blame people at all. I don't blame people for not voting. I don't blame people for
me neither.
You know, not participating, for even not getting into it. I don't blame you. Like, I get it. It was a very difficult thing to do, to run for a couple different high-level offices and then also city council, and take it seriously and put up with a lot of shit, because even if you didn't do anything unethical, people just hate politicians. So like, there's so many people just like just wanting to take out all those years of rage at the machine on me, because I was now quote unquote a politician, even though I didn't really consider myself that. I was running for office. So people then are like, oh, well, you're one of those assholes. So that's a hard place to like start. Oh, well, yes, but here's why I'm not. Here, I'm going to tell you why I'm not one of those assholes. I've never even seen those assholes before.
It's almost like subscribing to a religion or something, right?
And then you got to tell people why. Like, no, I'm the good Christian or the good Muslim. Like, no, like, you know that guy Jesus? Like, I'm like that. Like, I'm not like all those other douchebags. I'm like that dude.
Don't be gay, though. Better not be gay.
Yeah, because then that's the worst.
Yeah, that's a really weird thing that, and I think you and I have maybe, I don't think we talked about this on a podcast, but I think we've talked about it off air, about just like it's the seeming hypocrisy, like the fact that a lot of the churches now are like embracing the LGBTQ, when like, you know, 30 years ago they
Oh yeah, and they're also doing things like, feeding the people that are hungry, and like, getting food for, getting clothing and the necessities for the unhoused population. Like, there's plenty that are doing good things, and if that gives you a sense of community, like, that's great. Like, but then, there's some people sitting there that are like, I don't know about that rainbow flag they got up there now. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. Like, there's still that contingent. I feel like there's definitely, you can see it right now, that contingent of Iowa religious conservative that, even though like Vivek Ramaswamy is saying like a lot of stuff they love, the fact that it's like a Hindu man saying it, they're like, I don't know about that. It's like that's a tough road to hoe.
I don't really know much about the man, but that just at face value just seems like such a left outfield pick to have front the Republican Party right now,
especially when we know that there's people that vote based on various bigotry that they have, so it's not like that's a secret, right?
Yeah.
So someone's gonna be like, well, he says Christian stuff, or he says he's a Christian, but he's a Hindu. And that's like, their brain is not going to be able to comprehend how that works.
Yeah.
Like, you can be a Jewish people and or a Jewish religion, but you don't have to be, proponent of the faith. You don't have to be both. Like, it's like, people can't quite, or like, you can be like, Italian and be a Buddhist instead of Roman Catholic, and people just I don't know, people want you to be the stereotype.
Yeah, it is interesting though. Like, I think someone like Andrew Tate, right? Like, that was kind of like a surprising thing for a lot of people. Maybe more the younger generations.
That's another one I don't really know. What is it that's surprising?
Just because I think I don't know what race, but he's mixed in some regard. But a lot of people who maybe, like I said, probably more younger people that kind of are quote unquote more conservative, right leaning, really attached to him, and really have he has a lot of different crazy messages. You could go on a rabbit hole of that. Some of it's pretty funny, actually.
I did think it was funny that Elon Musk went live from the border. Did you see that?
No.
Citizen reporter Elon Musk. And I don't know, if you think about it, like, if Elon Musk showed up at one of these GOP Iowa rallies and they're like, look at this African immigrant that just came across the border, I don't think they'd be like, nah, turn him around, build that wall, like, keep that asshole out of here. So there's something to be said about that, is people that say that don't necessarily have the best picture of what an immigrant or a refugee actually is, and why that immigrant or refugee would be here of all places. And if they showed me that they had that kind of understanding, I would be a lot more open to what they had to say if they said something beyond build the wall.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, even if they think they're open-minded, they're still operating in those constraints of like what their image of that person is,
what they think they're stopping, and what they're actually stopping. Like, stopping a lot of people that'll probably be doctors and lawyers and maybe save your life. Or save your ass or save your life, and those people get stopped too when we make a lot more restriction over who can come across and when and all that. So, and even the types of things that motivate people to come here from another country are like, take a check and look and see, especially if you're in like Congress, someone that has a position to do something about it. Like, are we harming that country economically? Are we harming that country in some kind of militaristic fashion? Did we do economic hits that made this people's life harder? Tariffs, protectionism, like anything. Like, did we do anything to make this person's life shittier as a country so they're coming here? And if that's the case, let's stop doing any of that. Let's stop doing all of that shit that made it worse for them. Yeah. And let's try that, And maybe they won't even want to come here. They'll be like, nah, that place is too corrupt.
Yeah, no, I mean, kind of going back to the whole like no voting thing. I think that's why, like if you don't want to vote, like I think there's a very valid argument to saying like if you are playing into the system, you're validating it in a way. I like to think that you can. It is possible.
I get that. My whole reasoning was if I could go off the grid and just say, leave me the fuck alone, I would do that. But there's no physically possible way I could do that, let alone in Des Moines, Iowa. So
yeah, right.
I'm going to do the opposite of be really loud and really vocal and actually try to shake this shit up and hope that, it winds up a little better than it was before I did any of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all I got to go by, really. I guess sort of faith in that belief that humans can figure this shit out to some degree.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, man. I'm kind of like a nihilistic. I've always had like a nihilistic bend to me. I'm always kind of, I don't know, like I had the nickname in high school like a negative Norm. I've always just been like a very dark person.
I think I've been the opposite, just kind of happy-go-lucky and tried to look on the bright side.
Yeah.
And but then I've had those bouts with darkness and depression as well.
Yeah.
And I almost hearken it to like a Robin Williams type situation where most people that know me as that kind of lighthearted, joking, like try to cheer people up, try to help people when I can. And then, it becomes harder to talk about people about the real dark stuff because they're like, wait, you're not you. Like, exactly. Wait, you're being weird today. Well, I'm going through some shit.
Yeah. I guess the point to be optimist on that is I do think that that's changing. I do think that even people that find themselves in a quote unquote comedic form or whatever, like look at any like stand-up comedian. They have a podcast and they have
stigma is definitely dissipating in terms of talking about mental health and addiction, which is great, which is to me how we start to win those battles as individuals is being able to talk about it and not just get judged by everybody. There still might be some people out there that are whatever drug addict, son of a bitch, whatever, like dirty hippie, but that's less. The voices like that are less, and the voices that are actually like, okay, well, how do we help you? Or what does help look like for you? Like the people that actually think about it that way, like those voices are more and more. Not like, oh, this is the way you get straight. You get Jesus, you get God, and you never touch the stuff ever. And if you do, you're a fucking failure and we'll throw you in the slammer. Like that voice is getting less and less. Yeah. And the voices of the people that genuinely want and or know how to help, that are like, what can we do to help? What does help look like for you? And just accepting that this person made a decision as an individual that they don't want to touch anything. Like they want to be sober, and that's great for them. But not everybody has to be like that.
Exactly.
And maybe that's not even someone's best quality of life does not come from that path in their case. And that's fine too.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because I know you went to go see RFK Jr., which I was jealous. I was going to go to that thing, but I just pussied out last minute, basically.
And I don't think knives have come out for me any faster than when I did, was open about that. Like that I see value in this person, and that, if you're a Democrat, I feel like you should hear him out and think about supporting him. That if those are my three options, Marianne Williamson, Joe Biden, and Robert Kennedy Jr., I would cast my vote, my whatever singular tear in an ocean would go to Robert Kennedy Jr. And people get really mad about that.
Yeah, surprisingly.
And
I guess not.
To me, that's just because there's this huge machine that before they ever said, okay, what's this guy's platform? They were saying, telling everyone he's a conspiracy theorist and he is a anti-vaxxer.
Yep.
And that was before, like, give him a chance to say, like, what's he running on? Like, what are his thoughts on our top 10 most important issues? Like, no, it was like everywhere you look, conspiracy theorist, anti-vaxxer. So you're automatically turning a huge percentage of the population off on a person.
Yep.
And that, to me, that's just we're in a really fucked up place where that happens consistently to a lot of people for a lot of reasons. It's not just people that are anti-vax or people that are quote unquote conspiracy theorists. It's almost anything that you can be as an individual person. There's some percentage that is like, well, if we really frame it this way, we know a lot of people are just going to boo and hiss this person, you know?
Yeah. Well, and there are a lot of people who just, they're not knowledgeable about the situation. They're, the whole thing right now with Joe Biden. I think what I hear is that any vote in the what they're talking about, anyways, is that any vote in the DNC is gonna, or in the primaries, is gonna go to Joe
basically
Biden.
They're saying fuck what people in Iowa and New Hampshire think, and it's just gonna be the guy, no matter what you want or say or who you vote for. So I mean, I think everybody should have a problem with that, but then also. Yes.
100%.
Anytime you put anybody into two categories, Democrat, Republican, vaxxer or anti-vaxxer, or conspiracy theorist, or what would even be the alternative to that? I accept all truths that authority tells me regardless of anything. Like, is that the opposite to conspiracy theorist? I don't even know. So, like, that's just a fucked up Venn diagram to put people into, and you got to be in one circle or the other. I don't even think that's not a reflection on anything. Like, most people are open to the idea that a vaccination could be a good thing, but they probably want to know, like, what are the ingredients? What is the technology? Like, what's the track record on safety? Like, that's most people, right? There might be this very small contingent that's like, never, I will never touch, nothing will ever pierce my flesh. So, and that's fine too, like, right? Because for one, like, is that really a large enough percent of the population is going to have a dramatic impact? Probably not.
No.
And most people are going to look at each individual technology or medicine and decide, is this something that's going to be helpful to me or improve my quality of life?
Yeah.
So what camp are those people in? Are you vaxxer or anti-vaxxer? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it's dumb. Well, I think because I used to listen to Dark Horse a lot, Dark Horse podcast, like right when the COVID shit was happening. And I think I remember them saying that it was like, as long as 55% of the population is vaccinated, then that's all you need. Then like the virus will run its course.
There's
from that
stuff
point.
like that, but then then conspiracy theorist or not conspiracy theorist. So it doesn't matter what event we're talking about or what evidence or what, and you're just supposed to choose what box you want to go into. Like, to me, there's a big difference between like a situation where all of the evidence does not side with whatever the official narrative was, versus a situation where clear cut there's a conspiracy but there's no evidence to support it whatsoever. So I mean, in that case, are you not the conspiracy theorist because you side with the evidence? And in the other case, you are the conspiracy theorist because you side with the evidence? That doesn't make sense either. Depending on what happened and your perspective of what happened, you're going to be siding with the conspiracy theorist in some cases, and you're going to be siding with the authority narrative in other cases, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing that's just so crazy to me is like, if I feel like for people who buy into the whole thing, right, to whatever party, like, if like you're someone like you and me, like, if we step back, the whole thing just looks ridiculous, and it's so hard to imagine like just being in that at this stage of the game and where things have changed so much. Someone
that tries to convince other people that they have no doubt that their way is the way, like, that to me is scary in and of itself.
Yeah,
whether you were Democrat or Republican or Libertarian, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're just so confident, like, everything's going to get better if you think this way, then that alone worries me.
Don't give them your money.
Yeah. They're what's called probably a grifter of some sort.
Bad actor.
They're acting in bad faith because they're trying to sell a utopia of some kind. And, even if that's an anarchist utopia, like, still be fucking wary of that because, I don't know, those things don't exist. Like,
yeah. The reality can't be planned. Like, there's this, I think, and this is like, I don't, like I've said multiple times, I think to you, like, I don't subscribe fully to anarchy, but I guess, I don't know. I kind of thought of this term the other day. I'm an anarchist sympathetic. I'm sympathetic to anarchy. And yeah, I mean, I think just the value of saying, hey, I am not going to be able to tell you what to do. I think that's just a fundamental core what I believe in,
Where I've come to is you could take a room like this and put a socialist, a communist, an anarchist, a libertarian, all in the same room. And, if they start talking about the systems that they've lived under, that's why they decided to pick one of these little labels.
Exactly.
So it could be very different depending on people's experiences and, what they've had to deal with, and also how that shaped the people they act with's language. So yeah, it's more to me. Just beyond fucking labels is where I think the biggest hope lies. But
yeah, right.
Like most people, I think would choose to do good if you were cast into a new society and they had these. Say they didn't have any authority figures. Would that automatically make you start just like hurting people and stealing their shit?
That is something. Every time I get into libertarianism, people they're always on the fence that think bad things are going to happen.
What are
if we
you
don't have
the type
laws.
of person that's just going to stab rape people?
That's always the question I want to ask.
If there wasn't a law saying don't do it, you're just going to start raping?
Yeah.
Like what? And at least be honest about it. If that's how you feel, let us know.
Right.
Because if that shit ever gets abolished, don't be around that person.
Yeah,
because they're just going to start raping you.
Well, and the fact is, something written in a book is not going to stop that person from going on and doing that. Like, that's the point that nobody can grapple with. Like, it always just gets a scoff, right?
Yeah.
But like,
and even
nobody
on
ever
the
actually
right, even on the extreme right wing of like, if we ban abortions, they'll go away. Like, it doesn't work like that.
They all go to Mexico and they die.
Makes you feel good. Just because the law makes you feel good,
yep,
it doesn't make your outcome happen.
Yeah,
the outcome you wish to see happen.
Yeah, like the fetishization of like punishing. Right, like just being like, we need to like punish this person. We need to give this person
more
so much time.
Like, do we go retroactively to like where we now have abortion is criminal now? So we're gonna go find a 9-year-old woman that had an abortion and like charge her with murder. Like,
yeah, or like the doctors or whatever.
That would be like, people still charge like Nazis that are 90s for like war crimes that they did, when they were young. So it's like, wouldn't that be like the most justice possible? Is to like, everyone that's still living, all right, now you're guilty because this new law says this is now a criminal thing, right? It's weird. It's weird as hell to me, honestly, even to talk to people about this stuff and in public. And then it's a lot of pressure too, because you do have these people that depend on you. And then some days I feel like I can't even string, 2 sentences together. But now there's cameras and lights and your name's up there, and this is the people you're representing. And that is a lot of pressure to like. Yeah,
it's a whole thing.
And then like, do I be myself? Because that's worked out pretty well in my life up till this point. But people are expecting a certain thing and a certain level of professionalism. And like, I think I have that inherently, but it's hard, like, right, to try to, you're now in that little box, even if that box in your mind is slightly better than the other two boxes, you're now that third box. and that's like, you know, it's a lot of pressure and a lot of like, I didn't so much care if I got, you know, I embarrassed myself. I didn't want to embarrass the people that came before me that worked so hard for me to even have that opportunity. And also the people that, you know, currently believed in me. And, you know, my family and friends, like, I didn't want to, like, embarrass those people. Yeah. But I didn't care if people laughed at me, took something I said the wrong way, made fun of me, trolled me, whatever. I didn't care. It's kind of the same way I feel in my day-to-day. Like, you can call me whatever name you fucking want. Just don't, like, talk behind someone's back that's in my family or my friend circle and talk shit about them because they're not here. Mm-hmm. You know, like, but me to my face, say whatever the fuck you want. I'm not gonna like come over and strangle you with this mic cord, you son of a bitch, because you called me whatever, you know, slur, anything, like, whatever, man.
The takedown of Mark Thomas Anders, strangulation of microphone cord. Well, shit, man, we're about the hour mark, but before we maybe wrap this up, you're familiar with this, the fucked up bucket. We went on your show and talked about this, I believe.
Yes. So was it because I was a politician that I didn't get the fuced up bucket? Was that some kind of like...
I don't know, maybe.
Did Rick get it?
No, he didn't. No, I never did for Rick either.
The thing about Rick is he's an awesome dude, a good friend, and he probably... I think he would have done it. I mean...
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not
I didn't know if that was up his alley.
He hangs out with literally... It'll sound funny, but to me, he's like a Jesus. He hangs out with houseless people and prostitutes and drag queens, and he's not afraid of them, and he loves them, and he treats them as individual Iowans, and he wanted to know what they wanted in him, and I respect the hell out of him for that.
Rick's awesome. Rick's a really cool guy.
You know, he's like the least judgmental person I know, and one of the most honest people I know. And who else would, if you gotta have a politician, wouldn't you want that? That was my whole thing.
Yeah. No, when you know, this is kind of a next door. We have like a big area where we're gonna hopefully, you know, set the podcast here relatively soon. Nice. But when that's finished, he's hopefully gonna be one of the first guests I get on because
yeah, and like I said, so we came on with the intention of talking about music, and it still kind of got off track. So sometime we'll actually have the full music dedicated episode.
Yeah, well, we have plenty of time in the future to have you on. You know, like I said, this is the third time we've done it, and I always like having you on.
So if anything,
like having a conversation.
Yeah, you got to drop the full disclosure. Government name is out there. We got the new album in the works.
Oh, you do have a new one in the works.
No Right to Rule. It's written.
Okay.
People are coming together to record it as we speak.
Nice.
So yeah,
that's awesome, man.
Well, you'll definitely hear about that, at least in this region.
Yeah, let me know when that drops. I'll let me know when it drops. I'll plug it on the show. I'll let everybody know.
Fucked up bucket.
Yeah. All right, man. So, and I always forget to tell people, don't put the card back in there when you're done. But yeah, you probably know how it goes. We have usually it's a question or a prompt or a joke of some form on a piece of paper. You don't have to read it, but if you don't, you're a pussy. So you might as well. What's your card say? Go for it, man.
Well,
Mark.
I definitely don't think pussies are negative things to be. The only worse place to find women than a bar is at a therapist waiting room.
Consensus.
So I work at a female prison, and I can tell you that is not the greatest place. Prisons in general, I would not go. People do, man. People write letters to people in prison. That's still a thing. And it's not to say some of those people are great people, but let them rehabilitate,
right,
and then start hitting on them when they're got their shit together a little bit. You know, like give them a shot, man. They don't need people that are more fucked up than they are fucking up their lives even more.
Yeah.
Same. I feel the same with the therapist's waiting room. Like, okay, here's my number. I think you're very attractive, or I like the way your brain works, whichever, whatever you're feeling at the time. Here's my number. As soon as you feel like you've worked on your shit and you are at a level that you feel cool dating somebody else that's probably a little fucked up, maybe a lot fucked up, then give me a call.
Nah, man, that won't work. There are too many BPD bitches out here. They'll be like, the next day they'll call you, be like, I'm good, man. I'm great.
I think everybody could do with therapy in some fashion.
I agree.
And it doesn't look, it's not a one size fits all. But yeah, no, I think if people are, it's not the best place. When someone has said, either voluntarily or involuntarily, someone has said this person has a problem, give them some space to like work on that. And that's going to be to the benefit of everyone involved in the situation. So the only worst place. I think there's a few worse places.
Probably worse.
There's a few
think
worse.
About prison. It's like that movie Raising Arizona.
Yeah.
You ever see that?
Nick Cage.
Yep.
I love Nick Cage, and I think it's like a fine wine. He only gets better with age, because that I liked Renfield, but I really liked that Pig movie.
I fell asleep during that.
Really? Man. I thought that was like his masterpiece. Wow.
I need to. It was probably a bad time to watch it.
And the Massive Talents, the one where he played himself.
I did just see that. That was very good.
I also love that it ended with some Warren Zevon music. Keep Me in Your Heart for a While, which Funny People, I think, featured as well, ironically. So, I don't know. It's awesome to me. I love Zevon, so it's awesome that his music is permeating and whatever. But, yeah, okay. So, yeah. I can't say I agree with it. I'm cool with delivering it as a joke, and people can take that however they will. But I think I can think of a few worse places.
Well, hey, that's totally valid, man. We only have one writer on staff, so we try here. All right. One of the biggest fears of Trump being president was his access to nuclear codes. However, it's impossible to deny that Biden not being able to remember them is far worse.
Yeah. I mean, would any of these people remember? I don't know. I don't think I'd remember them. Like, how long is this code?
Who was the lady that just died?
What is the code? Is it numbers? Color?
You're right.
I don't fucking know. I'd probably forget.
It's like one of the fucking Android unlock things patterns.
Oh god!
Shit, so how's it go again?
So now, like, they've proven to you that this is your best option to launch this shit for humanity. Like, now that's your best option, and then you're the guy and you forget the code.
Face recognition for the new codes.
That's a lot of pressure, man. Too.
That'll happen.
I do remember there's a alleged JFK quote about, I don't know if it was marijuana or LSD, but one of the two. He's like, could you imagine, like, now I'm high and this is affecting me right now, and then they tell me, we got a nuclear situation going on. Because, I think it's a stated fact that he smoked marijuana at times, but I think the LSD is more in question. But I'm pretty sure, I lean on the side that was like, that he was doing LSD, and that fit into the whole broader, like, another reason why people didn't want this dude, in such a position to influence humanity in a positive way.
Yeah, no.
Or what they didn't think was positive, but I thought it would have been.
Yeah, I always say I think the last true American president was JFK.
I think just if in the people's hearts that's the answer, then that's the answer. Mm-hmm. Like, people that are older than us, I think it's very safe to say that he was like the last person that captured, like, their hearts. Like, they would respect this person's authority voluntarily. Yeah. Like, even if there was no laws and whatever, no people pointing guns at you, they would do that. They would respect his word and his leadership.
Yeah.
Regardless of the government goons telling you, it's his way or the highway or whatever.
Yeah. I feel like he's one of the few people in history that I can think of that held an authoritarian position in a way that was, he was very knowledgeable of people and really acknowledging, like almost in a libertarian sense. He was very acknowledging of their rights.
And still a very flawed person.
Yes, exactly.
And that did fucked up things and had to make fucked up decisions.
Yep.
But just the fact that the people under his watch voluntarily, a very large percentage of them respected him.
Mm-hmm.
And even more than respected him, liked him and were happy to agree with a lot of the things he had to say. Versus now, you got a very small level of respect, and you even have a contingency that would, oppose and even possibly and even violently oppose the people that are in there now. Like, people did want to hang Mike Pence. Like, maybe it wasn't like. Maybe it got blown out of proportion as to how many people really wanted to do that, but there were some people that wanted to do that.
Sure, there was probably more than the fingers on my hand.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but back to just the idea that we even have will that even be a thing anymore? I wish not, right? Like Kennedy totally did want to like get rid of nuclear weaponry and that would be an amazing feat for humanity. I don't know if it's ever feasible or possible, but
wanted to wipe out the CIA.
But if we could just like deal with each other without pointing weapons at each other, that would be a nice place to start.
Yes.
Whether we're Democrats or Republicans or libertarians or anarchists or anything, socialists, communists, like let's take the deadly force out of the equation and just, let's chop it up a little bit first.
Yeah. I think, I guess to kind of end on the anarchist note, I think a lot of people associate anarchism like with violence. And I
think there's a great token quote about that. Like, I'm an anarchist think of me more as like a peaceful anarchist than like whiskered men with bombs or something.
Exactly. Well, I mean,
unfortunately we are whiskered men, but we're not bombing anyone,
Yeah, but I think people that
we might like fart and leave the room. That's the best. That's the kind of bomb. It's the most violent bomb you.
Yeah, but I think you find that most. I mean, personally, almost anybody that I've heard of as an anarchist is a very kind person, a very peaceful person.
It's really hard to be the opposite.
Yeah.
Like what? Okay, you blow something up one time and now your life is fucked, and hope it was worth it. Like what?
Yeah.
You killed a bunch of people and then it was for no reason. Or you made things worse. You made things harder for the peaceful anarchists. So good fucking job.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem that any group faces, right? Is there's always some bad apples. Every time. That's like any kind of ideology.
Yeah, any group of people, there's always that one guy that's like...
one guy fucks up. You're like, God damn it, bro.
There's that one priest that... God damn it.
Well, more than one.
Yeah, a lot more than one. We can say that. That's like the polar opposite of only how many I can have on my hand. There's a lot more. Those damn authority figures and their raping and their kid touching.
Oh yeah, they love it.
Coaches, whatever, man. It's all them authorities, Boy Scouts, priests, politicians.
Yeah.
I mean, is that so bad? Anarchist says don't trust any of them, especially with your kids, man.
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't.
No, yeah, fuck that. Yeah, if I ever have kids, I'm going to be fucking cautious of that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like it's like yeah, you can trust people that you know, but don't trust people just because of their title.
Yeah, exactly. Be smart.
Like they might also be a priest or a Boy Scout, but you know them and you trust them because you know them.
Exactly.
You're not like, oh, wow, you're a Boy Scout, so I'm going to leave my kids with you. Or, wow, you're a, priest, so I'm going to just, here you go, take them, do what you will.
Don't do that shit. Don't be that person.
Like, it's not that, same with like, if I need help and it's a life or death situation, I will be like, Mr. Policeman, Miss Policewoman, I need help. I'm not going to be like, fuck all police officers ever for all time, but I'm going to have a healthy distrust of anyone that carries deadly force. So just how it's going to be, whether you got a badge or not. Like, I'm not going to just all of a sudden be like, I'm going to let you do whatever you want to do because you got a gun.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Mark Thomas Andersen. To me, a new identity.
That's my government name.
Yeah, to me, a new identity. To you, an old one.
Yeah, and people can call me either one. Like, if you call me Marco or Mark Andersen or Marco Battaglia, literally, my one son is Andersen and my other son is Battaglia. Like, this is who we are, man.
Okay. Hell yeah.
So I'm not gonna get. It's not gonna be. I'm not gonna make it weird unless you make it weird to come full circle. Don't be that person that's trying to rain on Freddie Mercury's parade or Rob Halford or whoever. Yeah, right. Just let them sing the songs they want to sing as long as they're not hurting anybody, not taking their shit. Exactly. Sing the songs you want to sing. Be happy as best as you can. Let other people be happy. I don't know. It's not that much more difficult than that to me, but apparently we ain't there yet.
Yeah, that's the world, unfortunately. What do you got to plug before we wrap this up?
So they'll always, as far as I'm concerned, there'll always be new Pud records. There'll always be Dark Mirror records as long as we write them and feel like we got something to say. It's always going to have some contingency of the Dark Mirror family, so you can trust that. Don't have any intentions to run for office, but I'm always going to stay involved in what's going on around me, in my city, especially my neighborhood, especially my backyard, but then also my city, state, country, planet. If you want my opinion on something, come at me and I'll tell you. But I don't have no plans right now to like run for something. That could change, but that's how it is. And so you'll definitely get a new Dark Mirror album, a new Pud album at some point, and then also we've still been going hard with the program that you were on, the heavy radio.
Yes.
So
yes,
just look up Dark Mirror on anything, Pud on anything, heavy radio, anything that.
Yes.
As far as I know, anything that exists where you can find programs, it's on there. So just heavy radio, Marco and Eric, you'll find it.
Yes.
Keep in touch with me anywhere on any social media. I think that's the opposite. Like, for me, it's like we're in this big fucking potentially Orwellian, potentially dystopian techno state, and my answer to that is be on everything and be as honest as I can and be as me as I can on everything. Hell yeah, and I get that might not be what works for you, whatever, man, do you, but that's where I'm at. So just come find me if you want to chop it up.
Hell yeah. Well, you know what, man, that's why we combo so much, is I think we both have that attitude. And yeah, go check out our I think it's 74 or something like that.
Yeah, heavy radio. If you just look up the McAllister Hours collaboration, it was a few episodes ago for us.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Check it out.
On that. Hell yeah. Guys, McAllisterHours.com. We're here every Monday at 7 p.m. We have a website, McAllisterHours.com. We also have a... Maybe I already said that. I don't know. We also have a YouTube, obviously, and Spotify and all that. We have a Patreon where you can find exclusive content there, behind the scenes stuff, and also check out our new podcast that I am part of co-hosting. One of them, the Guts and Gore podcast, where we review films. Another one,
specifically Guts and Gore films.
So like horror films, yeah.
Nice, yeah. That's another topic we could get into. Like I have a Wolfman on one arm, Bela Lugosi on the other.
Oh, nice.
I was going to bring up like trick-or-treating in this literal neighborhood as a kid. So like, we can get into the horror sometime too.
Hell yeah.
So I love that. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to like jump the gun and be like, oh, it's gore and guts, so it's about horror. I didn't know.
No, well, I mean, the fact that you knew from the title, that means that it's effective. So, and then we also have the Uncensored, God, he's going to kill me. The Unhinged and Uncensored podcast, where me and Lolo Savage, who's a local rapper and someone who's been on the McAllister Hours a lot, me and him finally started a show, and we bullshit every week, talk about random shit.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Hell yeah, Marco, thanks again for coming through, and everybody, y'all have a good night. Peace.
Yeah.